Hello, so we'll get started this afternoon. So shoulders over the hips, ears over the shoulders, and we'll start to find the breath here today. So as you're inhaling and exhaling, we're looking for movement to the ribs below the armpits and the bottom set of ribs. You can start off just by closing your eyes and exaggerating a few breaths into that space. If you exaggerate an inhale, you want to feel the ribs lift. On an exaggerated exhale, you can even pull the navel in towards the lower back to squeeze all of the stale air out of the lungs. As you inhale and exhale, you may also notice movement to the chest and shoulders, and the most subtle of the movement with the breath is through the clavicle and upper back. So just finding that on your own as you breathe. You're a little taller on your inhale, maintaining length on your exhale as the shoulders continue to sink down away from the ears. Just taking a moment to notice your body, tightness or openness of the body if you feel fatigued, relaxed, or energized here today. I'm just going to bring focus to the breath as we move through our practice. That'll keep our breath deep and even, plenty of oxygen to the body. We aren't cramping up or fatiguing as quickly. We tend to move a little more safely through our practice. So we'll take about 5 more breaths here in stillness, just sitting up tall. We add a gentle pause at the top of the inhale. That's an option, just allowing the exhale to lengthen as little or as much as is comfortable. So keeping your length, abs and the obliques will lift the ribs up off the pelvis on the inhale, reaching straight up. On the exhale, we'll take the left hand down to the floor or block up and over to the left. So you can walk the fingers out and bend at the elbows as much as you need to. If you want to gaze up, that's an option wherever's comfortable for the head and neck. Once again, hand over the shoulder, bicep by the ear, fingertips to the shoulder. We'll keep the shoulder girdle on a comfortable spot or hand to the hip. We'll take about 4 breaths here, relaxing the right leg. Natural movement on exhales for the muscles around the diaphragm to squeeze. And so on your exhale, we'll use the abs and the obliques to come all the way up to center, shoulders down the back. If you want to switch the legs out, that's an option. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So reaching up on the inhale. On the exhale, we'll go and take the hand down to the floor, up and out to the side. So gently lift the ribs, and this can be hand over the shoulder, bicep by the ear. You can relax the left leg as the left ribs lift. Any movements to the head and neck, and we'll take about 4 or 5 breaths here as well. If you need any of those variations, full pressure off the shoulder girdle, that's up to you. Same thing when we come up on this side. Abs and obliques gently squeeze on an exhale. So let the out breath push you up. Shoulders down the back. Simple seated forward fold from here. Lift up to the chest. And on the exhale, forward to the chest. And we'll come over the pelvis. So you can keep the elbows in kind of tight and just let the back round. The further out you reach the arms, the more the body will leverage forward. It'll keep a more neutral spine. You can relax the head and neck. Any movements of the head you need to do from here. Chin from shoulder to shoulder, ear from shoulder to shoulder. So rounding forward over the diaphragm, we've added just a little bit of pressure. So just maintain that low abdominal breath, or that breath into the bottom set of ribs. It'll help to open the intercostal muscles across the back and into the spine. Last couple of breaths. Hands for support on the inhale. We'll come all the way back up. Just shoulders over the hips. Lift the ribs. Hands over to your right knee. So try to keep the shoulders over the hips so you aren't leaning out to your right. But we want to keep the shoulders right over the top of the hips or the even weight into the 2 bony points into the sits bone. So lift the ribs on the inhale. On the exhale, gentle twist around, and you can gaze over the shoulder or close the eyes. Just be careful you aren't leaning out behind you or off to the side, which is the tendency. If you tighten up the lower back, it's going to put all the pressure into the spine. So let the abs and the obliques lift the ribs, and just let the lower back lengthen from there. We'll take about 4 breaths. So head around last tall on the inhale. So we unwind from the base of the spine up to the base of the skull. Hands to the opposite knee, and we'll do the same thing here. So just not leaning off to the side. Lift the ribs, and then on the exhale, twisting around, gazing over the shoulder. If you close the eyes, it'll make this a little more relaxed. The hand behind you, just keep that a light touch. We don't want a bunch of pressure down, or we're using the shoulder to hold us up. We're using the abs and the obliques. The lower back should almost feel like it lengthens a little bit from here. We're just going to take the same breath. So whenever you're ready on the inhale, head around last fall to center. Last member of the spine, just a gentle back bend, hands to the floor behind you, and we'll lift the chest up. So be careful that you're not tightening up the lower back and pushing the belly forward, but you're lifting the ribs up off the hips and the chest to the sky. If you need to keep the chin tucked, that's an option. You can gaze up where the ceiling and the wall meet. If you want to relax the head and neck back all the way, that's your option. Just make sure you're keeping the neck safe. You can always shrug the shoulders just a little bit to support the skull. 2 more deep breaths from here. Pushing into the fingertips, the hands, shrug the shoulders, and we're all the way back up to center. Shoulders down the back. So those are the 6 members of the spine. When you're ready, let's just come around to hands and knees. We'll just warm up into the quadriceps, the hamstrings a little bit. So shoulders over the wrist. Knees dropping out of the hips about hip width apart. So if you look back between your legs, the feet kind of disappear behind the thighs. So it was a line from the fingertips down to the toes. So on the inhale, as the chest expands, pull the chest forward. So don't tighten up the lower back and push the belly down, but pull the chest forward. And then on the exhale, lift the bottom set of ribs as much as is comfortable. And then actually start to squeeze across the top of the abdominal wall. You can tuck the chin a little bit if you'd like. On the inhale, forward to the chest, lift the hips a little bit. And then on the exhale, lifting the bottom set of ribs as we round. Just 2 more breaths here. Just at whatever pace is comfortable for you, just let the focus be length and not how much we can bend the spine. Last breath. Just warm up from the base of the skull to the tailbone once again. Exhaling. And then a neutral spine on the next breath. Just come back to a flat back. Step your right foot up between the hands. We'll start to drop to the hips. So if you want to use tented fingers, that's fine. If you want to use palms flat to the floor, that's fine. You can even use blocks under the hands if you need it. We want to pull the chest forward as the shoulders relax down the back. So as long as you keep the right knee and ankle lined up, you can let the left knee go back as much as you'd like. Relax the left leg. Relax the lower back. We'll take a few breaths here. If you want to exaggerate the stretch across the left side of the body, you can relax the left leg and gaze over the right shoulder. We'll take about 3 or 4 more breaths. Back bends are the movement we make the least during the day, so we tend to tighten up across the top of the thigh, front of the pelvis. Whenever you're ready on the exhale, we're just going to shift the hips back, heels or toes press out. So put us into the hamstring. So the closer your belly and your chest get to your thigh before your leg straightens out, the more stretch you can isolate into the leg. And so you can slowly kind of shift back from there. If you start with the leg straight and try to bend in, you'll end up putting a lot of pressure behind the knee or into the lower back. Remember, this is about how straight the leg gets. It's just about creating length here. Heel pressing out will keep the muscles a little longer. Toes pushing out will make a little more space for the pelvis to tilt, whatever feels best. We'll take about 4 breaths. When you're ready on the inhale, we're just shifting forward, shoulders over the wrists once again. Curl into the left toes, lift the ribs. We'll step the right back to meet the left. Left foot up between the hands. We'll do the same thing on this side. So left knee and ankle lines up. And we'll slide the right knee back as much as is comfortable. Shoulders down the back as the chest pulls forward. If you use blocks on the other side, just find the same thing here. Breathing. So right leg relaxes. If you want a gentle gaze over the left shoulder, help to pull the hip forward and down. Same thing on this side. Breathing. Since we aren't using the right leg, you can just keep it nice and relaxed across the floor. And the same thing here on the exhale, just gently shift the hips back. You keep the chest and the thigh kind of close as you shift back. It's just going to help to push more stretch, isolate into the hamstring. Keep a lot of pressure off the knee and the lower spine. If you want to straighten the leg out and you come down, that's fine. Just be careful about the lower back where the hips and thigh meet. Be careful, be space behind the knee and the ankle. So as you come down, once again, any rocking of the hips from side to side, ears from shoulder to shoulder, chin from side to side, and we'll breathe. Gazing wherever is comfortable for your body. Remember, you can always pull the intensity off a little bit just by pointing the toes out. Inhaling forward when you're ready, shoulders draw back, shift the body in, curl the back toes under, and we'll just step the feet back here for a moment. So you just want to find a nice high plank. You can adjust the hands as much as you need to, shoulders over your wrist, heels over the ball of the foot. We're just going to push the hips up and back towards the heels. Lifting the heels, bending the knees as much as you need to. So our first down dog, if you want the feet kind of wide, that's fine, and you can shift hips from side to side. The wider your feet are, the more distance you're going to have to kind of rock from side to side and open to the hips. Same thing with the hands. If you have them real wide, it'll just give more space for the body to shift and move. So take about 4 more breaths wherever you'd like. Keep the upper back broad, so we don't want to crunch the shoulders together, but think about opening across the upper back. However's comfortable, we're just going to step to the top of the mat. 1 step at a time. Inside or outside edges of the feet parallel. Bend the knees as much as you need to, and we'll come all the way up to standing. So once again, shoulders down the back. I'm fitting on the screen. So palms forward, lift up to the chest. When we stand up tall, the tendency is to kind of stick the tailbone out behind us and roll the belly forward. We want the abs lifting the ribs up off the hips so that the shoulders, the hips, and the heels all line up. Palms forward. Nice and slow, just moving with the breath. When you're ready on the inhale, thighs forward, chest lifts for a back bend. And we want to think about glutes and abs just gently hugging up against the skeleton. On the inhale, thighs forward, chest lifts. On the exhale, forward fold, swan dive, ragdolling, or hinging down, however's comfortable for you to find a forward fold. Once you're here, same thing. You can rock the hips from side to side or whatever movements feel comfortable for the body. You're going to find a half lift here next. You can bend the knees as much as you need to bring your hands to the floor. Keep the same bend to the knees. Hands to the shins, chest parallel. Inhale, and exhale, relax. 2 more. On the inhale, half lift. Exhale, relax. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, relax. Right foot takes a big step to the back of the mat. So here in our lunge, push the hands and feet down, take about 2 breaths, keep the neck long. We want to kind of keep the chest pushing away from the floor. You can even add a gentle lift to the bottom set of ribs. We're going to step the left foot back to meet the right. Knees drop if you need it to the floor. On the exhale, chaturanga, leading to the chest down. And we'll find a back bend on the inhale. Tops of the feet push down so much your knees may lift. Glutes squeeze just enough to anchor the pelvis down. It's not as tight as you can. It's just hugging the muscles up against the back of the pelvis. On the inhale, pull your chest forward. Breathe here. So I'm not using the hands to hold the body up. This is the abs and the obliques pulling the chest forward, creating all the lift. You need to keep the chin tucked to keep pressure off the spine. That's fine. On your exhale, curl the toes down, dog. Stay in the knees if you need to. You need to stay to forearms. You can stay to forearms, more of a dolphin. Wherever you end up, we'll take about 4 breaths. I'm just going to be relaxing the head and neck. If you want to gaze back at the belly button or the thighs, that's an option. When you're ready on the inhale, we're going to take the right foot up between the hands. If you need to drop the left knee first, that's perfect. You can use the hand to pull the foot up. We just want a long lunge here, pushing hands and feet down your breath. Keep the neck long. We're not jutting the chin out, but we're lengthening the neck. Exhale, forward fold. We'll take the left to meet the right. And if you need to drop a knee down, whatever options you need to take here to pull the foot forward. Inside or outside edges of the feet parallel, gentle bends to the knees. On the inhale, you can reverse swan dive up, however is comfortable. Hands in front of the heart. Thighs forward, chest lifts on the inhale, lengthen. Exhale forward. Wait for your inhale to find a half lift. It needs to be as low or as high as you need to go, just wherever your spine's neutral. So we're not pushing the back out behind us, but we're pulling the ribs up off the hip points. Relaxing, and we'll step the left foot back on the inhale. Nice big step. Just kind of open up into the side ribs here a little bit. We'll find a side angle pose. And just spin the left heel down to the floor. If you feel like you'd be better off dropping a knee, that's perfect here. We're going to bring the right hand down to the floor or block. Make sure you keep the knee and ankle lined up so you're sinking to the hips. Ribs up off the hip points, left hand to the sky. So make sure you're pushing the foot and the hand down, pulling the ribs up off the hips. So this is all about length. And we'll take 3 breaths. Pulling to the exhale to drop the left hand. Come back around to your lunge. You just want to switch the feet out so however's comfortable. Left foot up between the hands. If you drop the knee on the other side, do the same thing here. That's perfect. You spin the heel down. Go ahead and spin the heel down. Left hand to the floor or block. Ribs lift up off the hips, and we'll take the right hand to the sky. Shoulders down the back. Gazing up or wherever is comfortable. The same thing like we've been doing in our others. If you have any kind of shoulder issues, you can always bring a hand to a shoulder. You can always bring the hand down to the hip, just whatever you think is going to work most comfortably for you. Same breaths. Breathing. When you're ready on the exhale, we're just going to take the hand to the floor. Lunge on the inhale, coming up one of the toes. On the exhale, high plank. Once again, knees drop if you'd like. On the exhale, coming down to the chest, find your low cobra as you extend. Feet push into the floor, glutes and the abs for support. Make sure your shoulders aren't coming forward, the elbows to the sides, but shoulders down, letting the elbows reach out behind you. Down dog on the exhale. Same thing here. We want to keep the arms kind of in the same spot. We're not winging out. We're pulling the elbows in to broaden across the upper back. Your breath from here and down dog. Hands to the floor. If you need forearms down, that's fine. We're going to take the right leg and just lift it up as much as is comfortable. You can reach the heel back if you'd like, so we're still bringing the chest towards the thigh. 3 breaths. Try not to lift the hip here yet. We'll do that on the next set. Foot drops on the exhale. You can shift the body wherever you need it. Left leg lifts. Chest to the thigh. You can let the heel or toes press out. Just a long straight leg here, and we'll breathe. Drop the foot on the exhale. Go ahead and take your right foot up between the hands. Hands for any kind of support you need. We'll drop the knee. This will stretch out of the quadricep and hip flex a little bit, just like a half back bend. Right foot can step out to the right as much as you need. Push down to the foot evenly. Hands to the thigh. So you make sure you're sinking through the hips. We're going to keep the knee over the top of the ankle just so that we're safest to the leg. Abs and obliques lift the ribs. So we don't want to point the belly forward to the tailbone out behind us, but try to drop to the hips so we have a nice long line to the ribs. Hands up. So if you want to reach up one hand or both, if you need to keep elbows bent, that's perfect. We're going to take 4 breaths. Glutes and the abs gently hug up against the skeleton. Lift your ribs with the chest. Exhale the hands down. We don't want to relax down. Keep all of that support till your hands touch the floor. We'll just switch the legs out. So however's comfortable. We'll take the left foot up between the hands. Any kind of adjusting from here, if you need to slide the knee back, if you need to adjust forward, you can kind of find it on your own. Left foot coming out to the left a little bit will just make room for the hip and thigh. Hands to the hip, dropping. Abs lift the ribs. Just make sure you aren't pushing the body back. Make sure you aren't pushing the belly forward, but we want to drop the hips, lift the ribs up off the hip points. Gazing up wherever's comfortable, finding your variation with the arms. Same breaths here. The neck long. So abs and your obliques stay hugged up against the skeleton as we exhale the hands to the floor. We don't need to relax down. We just move all our support back where we started. Lunge. So we're going to find a down dog here just for a moment. So pull pressure off the quadriceps and the hip flexors. 2 breaths. Breathing at your natural pace. And after you've had your couple of breaths, start walking the feet up to the hands. Little or as much as you need in the steps. Gentle bend to the knees, and we'll reverse swan dive up. Hands in front of the heart. Shoulders down the back. Thighs forward, chest lifts on the inhale. Find your back. Exhale forward. Half lift on the inhale. Exhale, relax. On the inhale, we'll go ahead and take the right foot to the back of the mat. Nice long spine. Take a couple of breaths here. Hands to the inside edge of the foot. Any kind of movements from here if you need breathing. If you need to drop the knee, rather, you can drop the knee to the floor. When you're ready, we'll come down to elbow. So here we'll drop the knee together. Right elbow to the floor or block. Left elbow to the floor or block. If you need a blanket or something underneath the arms, that's up to you. We'll take a few breaths here, rocking the hips from side to side. If you'd rather keep the back knee up, that's your option. Shoulders down, breathe deep. If you have the knee down to the floor, you can stay more relaxed here. The legs lifted and the knee straight. You want to think about staying a little more active, pushing the feet down, keeping the ribs lifting away from the hip points. Your breath. Coming back out, knees can drop if you need it. However it's comfortable, we're just going to switch sides. Right foot up between the hands, and you can drop the left knee to the floor. A little bit of side-to-side rocking as we walk the hands to the inside edge of the foot. And we breathe here. You need to kind of move from front to back. At any point in time here, for your dragon lunge, lizard lunge, you can drop the knee to the floor. As we come down, we'll all drop the knee, left elbow and then the right. If you like having the knee lifted, you can bring it right back up again, whatever's comfortable. We don't want to relax too much here and let the body kind of slide out to the side if the knee's lifted, but we want to maintain a little bit of activity. If your knee's down to the floor, you can even let the leg relax a little bit. We'll find some breath here. Climbing up when you're ready. So once again, drop the knee. Back up to the hands. High plank on the exhale. Knees drop if you need to. Chaturanga leading to the chest. Back bend on the inhale. Lengthen. 2 breaths. Exhale, curl the toes. Hips up and back. Down dog. Chest to the thighs. Breathe. Walking the feet up to the hands, however it's comfortable. Just one step at a time. And we'll reverse one dive up. Hands in front of the heart. Thighs forward, chest lifts. Lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Extend on the inhale. Exhale, relax. Take your feet back to high plank, however it's comfortable for you to get them back there. Exhale, chaturanga. Back bend on the inhale. Down dog, curl the toes, push the hips up and back, chest to the thighs. We'll take about 3 breaths. Same thing, knees to the floor if you need it. Forearms can drop if that seems appropriate. Even here as we lift the right leg. So when you're ready, right leg lifts. This time we'll let the hips open up. If you want to bend the knee, that's your option. You can gaze into the left armpit. We'll take about 3 breaths. Exhale the foot down. Other side on the inhale, we'll take the leg up. If you want to bend the knee, you can gaze underneath of the right armpit if you need to. Straight leg or bent knee, your breath. Drop the foot. Right foot up between the hands. So if you need to drop the knee to the floor, that's fine here. It's going to come into a twist. So the more distance between your hands and foot, the more you're going to kind of open up out to the side. If you're tighter, maybe you need the extra space. If you want to bring your left hand in really close to your right foot, it'll make this a little more challenging. We still want to maintain length. Make sure you're not rolling to the outside edge of the right foot. Push into the right foot, push into your left hand. Inhale, we'll take the right arm up, hand to the thigh, fingertips to the shoulder or hip, hand over the shoulder or bicep by the ear. If you want the back knee lifted, that's your option. Excuse me. We'll take 4 breaths here. And then move it to the head and neck. Breathing naturally. Waiting for an exhale, and we're going to take the right hand to the floor. Lunge. Switch the feet out to the other side. Same thing here. Drop knees if you need to or whatever's appropriate. Farther out to the side here. Left foot is. The distance from the right hand, the more space we have there, the more we're going to kind of open. Be a little more stable for some of us. That's an option. If you're going to bring your hand in real close to the left foot, it'll just make this a little more challenging. So shoulder down the back as you push into your left foot. If you have the knee down or up, that's whatever variation you found on the other side. On the inhale, left hand to the thigh or the shoulder. Hand over the shoulder, bicep by the ear. Hand to the hip was the variation we did. Wherever you end up, we'll take the same breaths here. Hand on the exhale. Lunge. Just to pull pressure off the quads. Come find the down dog again. Exhale, shift your hips back. 2 breaths. However it's comfortable, we'll bring the feet up to the hands on an exhale. We'll inhale to our standing position. Shoulders down the back, sweep up. Hands in front of the heart, shoulders down the back. Drop the arms. Couple breaths here. Rotate your palms forward to drop the shoulders. Close your eyes. Find movement into the bottom set of ribs. The ribs below the armpits. Maybe moving into the chest and shoulders. Maybe movement into the clavicle or the upper back. When we're standing on one foot, we just want to try to maintain that length and balance. Maintaining your breath. Shaking out the legs and ankles just a little bit. You want a wall to stand next to, you can always stand next to a wall to find your tree. That'll just make things a little more stable. We just want to make sure as we find our tree pose, we're either keeping the foot below the knees or the toes above the knees. We aren't getting any awkward pressure on the kneecap itself. We're going to start with by lifting the ribs, shoulders down the back. Whatever side you want to start with. When you're ready on the inhale, float up into your tree. If you need toes of the foot, that's perfect. Once again, a hand can be to the wall if you needed it. If you're coming up to the thigh or half lotus, that's up to you. We just want to push the foot and leg together in any of those different positions we're in so that we're creating a little bit of isometric action to the hips. Hands wherever you want them for support, in front of the heart. T position, cactus arms. If you want to reach the arms straight up, that's an option. Keep the chest open. Maintain the length. We'll take 4 more breaths from here. So just continuing to breathe, and when you're ready, you can exhale the feet down. You can close the eyes and let that loss of balance kind of drop you out of your tree if that's appropriate. Just whatever's comfortable here for you, and we'll shake out the legs and ankles again. Other side, inside or outside edges of the feet parallel. Rotate the palms forwards. We're dropping the shoulders and lifting the chest a little bit. Lift the ribs up off the hip points with the abdominal wall. So maintain length and balance. And when you're ready, we'll just find the same thing on the other side. Toes of the foot, calf. Some of us found the inner thigh. You feel like half lotus is appropriate for you. We're just pushing the foot and leg together wherever you end up. Maintain length and breathe. Same thing with your arms. Wherever you happen to have them on the other side, you can just find the same variation here as you inhale and exhale. Same breaths. When you're ready, you can close the eyes and lose your balance, or exhale the feet down side by side, whatever feels most appropriate here for your body. Shake out the legs and ankles when you're ready, a little or as much as you need to. We're just going to come down to the floor. So start off on hands and knees just so you can kind of move to the spine again. Just some gentle cat-cows. Inhale the chest forward, exhale as you lift up to the bottom set of ribs. You need to let the hips drift from side to side or ears from shoulder to shoulder. That's up to you. Just a few breaths here. The inhale, begin to find your cow. Let the exhale begin, then let the bottom set of ribs gently lift. Neutral spine when you're ready. We're going to take the toes towards one another and your knees wide. Just kind of let us move into the spine here a little bit. Just like we've been doing during our practice, this just be a little more relaxed for some of us. If you can bring the forearms down to the floor, you can even let the hips kind of fall back towards the heels. You could make this a child's pose if you feel like that's appropriate for your body here. 2 deep breaths. And then when you're ready, I just want you to lift your chest up as little or as much as is comfortable. Keep your right arm out long. Left arm across the chest. So if you stay more squared off here, this is going to move into your shoulder girdle, kind of open into the upper back. The more you twist, the more this will move into the upper back and spine. And whatever you want to do with your other arm is up to you. It can relax, or you can keep it reaching out. We'll take about 3 breaths. Same thing on the other side of the body. Whenever you're ready on the inhale, you can start to cycle back through. We'll take the right arm underneath of the left and bring the right shoulder towards the floor. And you can stay more squared off and move into the back of the shoulder girdle. Rotator cuff here a little bit, upper back. The more you twist, the more you'll move into the spine. We'll take the same breath. Whatever you need to do with your left arm is up to you. Right back to center on the inhale. We're going to bring the hands, just walk them over to your right as much as is comfortable. Left arm can reach out, chest towards the thighs, just a few breaths here. Lifting as little or as much as you need to. We're going to walk the hands over to the left, chest over the left thigh of your breath. Right fingertips can reach out. back to center whenever you're ready. A couple of breaths in your child's pose. So for some of us, we're going to stay right here. If you can move weight onto your forearms, maybe that weight back of the weight of your hips back towards your heels is comfortable for you. You could even sit on a block here if you needed to. Hands to the floor if that feels appropriate. You can even add a little bit of movement. Hands to the thighs if you feel like that's appropriate. Just a couple of breaths here. Once again, you could sit on a block there. You could curl the toes under and sit back onto the heels from here. You could still have your chest across the floor where we started. A few breaths. However's comfortable. I'm going to come around for the sits bone. So just bringing our hips back down to the floor, however you'd like. You can bring the hands to the thighs. You can tuck your chin in towards the clavicle or chest and let that roll you down nice and safe. Any kind of movement from here, side to side, front to back, smaller big circles with the knees, whatever feels comfortable for you. When you're ready, we're just going to take both feet straight up to the sky for a moment. Bent knees are fine. Hands to the thighs for support. Your hands are to the floor or to the hips. That's your option. Just try to keep the shoulders down and back with the chest open. Heels or toes push out, depending on whatever's comfortable here for your body. Breathing. Lift the legs above the hips, the organs in the brain. It just helps to stimulate circulation of blood to the body and the brain itself. For the immune system, turn the lymph nodes upside down. We'll do the same thing with the hips here in a moment from our bridge. But for now, let's go ahead and bend the knees and bring the feet down to the floor. And you can find them kind of wide, no wider than you can still kind of touch the knees in the middle. So we're just rolling to the edges of the feet. Don't move the feet around here too much. T position with your arms, shoulder blades flatten on your exhale. Let the knees float over to the left side of the body. You can gaze over the right hands if you'd like, or up at the ceiling. Wherever you end up, just try to relax here a little bit, just as best you can. If there's other variations you need to do, or if you need to grab a thigh, if there's other variations on the twist you like, those are your options. We'll take about 3 breaths. Lower back towards the floor on the inhale as you return. Exhale to the other side. And the same thing here. If there's a particular variation you'd like, just find the same variation here. Hugging knees in, extending limbs, just whatever you think you need. Be as relaxed or as active as you'd like. Breathing. If you want to gaze over the left fingertips, that's your option. Inhaling or exhaling, and exhale is going to kind of squeeze the bottom set of ribs and engage. That'll help to keep the back safe. Knees into the chest for a moment. Any movements you need to the hips, thighs, lower back. When you're ready, we're going to come into a back bend. Bring the feet down as close to the hips as is comfortable. So we don't want to do too much grabbing the feet and really pull them in, or what you'll end up doing is when you lift up into your bridge, all that pressure gets pushed into your ankles and knees. We want a natural spot, so when we lift up, the knees are staying lined up over the ankles. So if you're kind of tight, your heels may not squeeze into the body without a lot of force, and we don't want to use that force. Heels fall to a natural spot. Your feet are about hip width apart, maybe as close together as touching. Thighs and knees kind of lined up with wherever your feet are pointing. Palms down to the floor. So just hug the glutes up against the back of the pelvis, not as tight as you can. Abs squeeze across the torso. So once again, I'm squeezing my abs, but it's not going to strain the voice or my breath because I'm just hugging the muscles up against the body. Same thing with the glutes. Gentle lift to the pelvic floor on the inhale, push into your feet and lift the thighs. As your thighs lift, push the weight from your feet up towards your shoulders to create length and openness. Hands together under the body or whatever you feel like is comfortable. Palms flat. If you bend the elbows and drive down into the triceps, that'll keep the upper back engaged. Wherever you are, we don't want to push the belly up. We want to lift up to the thighs. 4 more breaths. On your exhale, nice and slow, you can start to drop the hips, moving the arms out from underneath you if you need to. And you can drop down as one unit, or you can start with the top of the spine and roll it down, whatever feels comfortable, as long as the tailbone isn't coming down first, leaving the belly extended. Knees into the chest, a little bit of side to side to the legs. Once again, if you need some extension, you can reach those feet up to the sky. Stand across, especially if you're pushing the heels out across the back of the leg. When you're ready, feet to the floor. We'll extend the legs across the floor. We'll bring the arms to the sides for our final corpse pose, flattening your shoulder blades. Finding a perfect spot on the back of your skull and breathing here. So just relax your jaw. Try to draw your focus into the movement of the ribs below the armpits and the bottom set of ribs as you breathe. Exaggerate a couple of breaths just to find that movement. And if it feels effortless to find movement into the rib cage, maybe finding movement into the chest and shoulders, a little more subtle. You may need to exaggerate a couple of breaths there as well. Relax the palms of the hands as you breathe. Relax the arches of the feet as you breathe. Maybe relaxing all the muscles through the belly button and into your lower back. Breathe here for a moment. Relaxing there, especially through your exhale, maybe feeling the body sink into the floor as you breathe. Once again, relaxing the arches of the feet and the palms of the hand. The glutes and the abs relax together. That's the buttocks and the belly. Relaxing the skin across the face and scalp. Once again, maybe a breath as deep as you can here. And then just breathing naturally. Inhaling and exhaling, keeping your jaw relaxed. Once again, you can bring focus to the ribs below the armpits and the bottom set of ribs. Maybe just movement in general as you inhale and exhale. It'll keep the mind, the body, and the breath kind of tied together. Maybe noticing just the general movement as you inhale and exhale. On the exhales, the body relaxes. Just a few more deep, even breaths here. When you're ready, start wiggling your fingers and toes a little bit. Any movements to the wrists and ankles you need to add. Maybe draw the knees into the chest here for a moment. Any kind of rocking from side to side. If you want to roll over to one side of the body or the other, that's up to you. And we'll just take a couple of deep breaths here. Hands for support. We're just going to come back to a seated position we started in. So just wherever you end up, bring the shoulders over the hips, ears over the top of the shoulders. Keep the chest gently lifted. Any movements you need to make to the head and neck. And just taking a few breaths here, gazing at a spot or closing the eyes. And just noticing subtle changes to the body, the breath of the mind here at the end of your practice. Those are the subtle changes you created, subtle changes you can return to whenever you need to, whether that's pausing to find posture as we complete our tasks. Focus as we move through the day. The breath as we continue through our week. Your pace, your breath, especially when our practice ends. I honor the light in you. It's the same light in me. Namaste. Thanks for coming or watching today. If you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments. And if there's anything you want to see in the videos, you can leave them in the comments. Have a good week.